This week on the Stereo Image, we're lucky enough to have the lovely and talented Michelle Jones, violinist extraordinaire, joining us. How you doing?
I am fantastic. How are you, Mike?
Excellent. I want to start out by saying I know you from your work out here in Vegas with Wayne Newton, but you have done millions of things and incredible projects over the years and played everything from heavy metal to Wayne Newton. I want to ask, your story is fantastic. You were telling me about it, many years ago. But right now, what are you doing? What's going on? What's the current big projects that you're up to?
There's a couple of songs that just came out that I worked with different artists on. There's one from a Colombian artist named Maluma, and
Hmm.
he's really huge in the Latin community, huge.
Wow.
And it's a song called Botero. It's about the artist Botero. If you've ever seen Botero art, everything is very voluminous and very round.
Hmm.
So that's
Yep.
Botero's art,
Okay.
and that's the title of the song. Well, I wound up creating all of the orchestrations for it. I got the call, it was on Halloween, actually. I could talk about all this now, but I was under NDA at the time.
Uh
But I got
huh.
a call on Halloween to say, "Can you come into the studio tomorrow here in Orlando?" Because I'm in Orlando, Florida. And
Right.
I said, "Sure, sure, I'm available." They said, "We need some tracks done." I was like, "Okay." So I took both of my violins, my acoustic instruments, and a viola to give them a variety of sound. And I went
Right.
into the studio and they said, "Okay, here's kind of what we're looking for. So create." I went,
Great.
"Okay." So I started layering one string right after another, after another, after another. I was creating it and I would do it in like 8-bar phrases because I knew the chord progressions at that point. And I
Right.
didn't know exactly what order they were going to put them in. And I came up with some riffs, I came up with some ideas. The producer and I were bouncing them off each other. There was a 9-year-old boy in the studio who was going to be recording the cello. At the time, I didn't realize who he was. So I just started talking to him and found out he'd only been playing for a couple years. And I said, "Well, let's make sure it's a part you can play. Let's see if you can read this. Can you play this?" Because he recorded the cello parts. And I did them also on viola, an octave higher. And so he could just double that.
Right.
And I found out later that it was the producer's son.
Well, there you go.
So I was so excited, and the producer was very impressed with how kind I was to his son,
Well,
and
that's great.
without even knowing who he was, and they just
Right.
and then after me was the saxophone and the flute and then the piano, and it was just like, done in layers, and we didn't even know what the lyrics were gonna be. We didn't know the title, we knew nothing,
Right.
until it
Right.
came out, and it came out in March. And
That's
that's when I
great.
found out it was Maluma, NTG, an archangel, and the song is called Botero, and the video is on YouTube, and they filmed it in the museum that has all the Botero artwork in Median. But I
Ah.
gotta say my favorite part is I loved all that, but they use a youth student orchestra in the video,
Oh, that's
and
great.
they're playing my charts
Nice.
because I
Nice.
gave them all
Nice.
my
Nice.
charts.
Right. Right. Well, that's great.
That
So
was
that's
so exciting, and it's had
yeah.
millions, I mean, over 4,000,000 streams, and
Geez.
it only just
Wow.
came out, like, about 6 weeks ago.
That's amazing. Wow.
That's
I'll
one of
have
the
you know,
ones.
yeah, I've had hundreds of streams for some of my stuff.
You've
Uh,
had millions. We know this. Billions, billions.
so yeah, sure, sure. Now, what, now what's going on with the group? Are you guys still working all the time? Because the last time I heard you had like 5,000 dates a year. Um,
Well, as you know, we met back in, like, 2018, you and I did,
is
and
that
at that time, we were running about 240, 250 shows a year, so we were
mhm.
super busy, but then we all know what happened in 2020. So we're not quite up to those numbers again, but we are trying to stay busy as much as we can. But if that whole thing that happened, we had to pivot, we had to shift. So that's
Sure, sure.
why I got more into recording and
Yep.
built out my recording studio and just started working a lot more that way. Signed our first artist, who is the Robert Kerr Ensemble, and I'm the viola in that and producer. And my husband,
Mhm.
of course, is a producer and an engineer, and it's our label, Cosplay Records. And we've put out our first album called Songs
Mhm.
Beyond the Mirror, which is all string quartet, complex classical arrangements of favorite Disney songs.
Wow.
And it's
Right.
had some wonderful acclaim. We debuted at Carnegie Hall last year on January 9th.
Great.
And
Wow.
from that, signed with an agency with Kirshner Creative Artists, and
Mhm.
then that led to now we're working on our Asian tour in late 2027. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Excellent.
South Korea,
Gee.
Macau, Hong Kong, China, and Japan. So
Wow. That's
there's just
amazing.
a lot growing in that side. And then also with Violectric, my heart and
Yep.
soul that
Yep.
I created and founded, that's the group you're familiar with, more familiar with, I should say. And it is, we're still going, still growing, still doing that. We've had some people move in and out of the group as they get
Okay.
married or have children and decide they want to move away.
Right, right.
Good reasons to
Yeah,
leave,
yeah, yeah.
not
Now,
bad ones.
talk a little bit about how you put that group together. Like go back in time. So first of all, talk about Vioelectric and what you guys do because I know you and I know the stuff. I sometimes forget that the people that are listening have no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're
So
so sweet. Oh my gosh. You are so sweet. Thank you. And yes, it is the world's first LED string ensemble. So our instruments light up, the visuals go with the sound. We play instrumental rock and pop music. That's what we do.
Mhm. Right,
And it's artists from everything from Led Zeppelin to The Who to the Beatles to more modern artists, Katy Perry, Sia, Bruno Mars,
right,
The Weeknd,
right. Yep, yep.
everything in between. If it's got a
Mhm.
good catchy melody and some harmonies, then we definitely think it's a good fit for our for what we do because it's a string quintet plus keys and drums. We formed in originally the idea started in 2008 and then it formalized starting in 2010. And then
Okay.
we started doing our holiday show in 2013 at Lake Eola, where we do mashups of popular music with holidays. So it's different from like other groups. Like I've performed with Trans Siberian Orchestra, love them, and
Right.
with Mannheim Steamroller, performed with them, love them.
Mhm.
They rockify class
Right.
Christmas
Yeah.
music, but we do the other.
Right.
We take the actual rock music and thread in the mashups of holiday
Okay.
tunes. So
Wow.
that's
Okay.
something we've been doing. Our 14th show is coming up in December of this year here in
Wow.
Lake Eola in Orlando,
Uh-huh.
Florida.
Right. Now, where are you from originally?
Originally Spartanburg, South Carolina, and
Okay.
I moved to Orlando many, many moons ago when
Mhm.
I met the love of my life,
Ah.
Jerry Jones,
Yep, yeah.
and we
No
got
relation,
married.
by the way.
No
Um,
relation. I know we're not related. We have a Jones name.
um, but, well, it's not a very popular name, Jones. But, well, so you were in South Carolina, and, did you start studying music very young, or were you what was that all about? Well, how did you get started playing the violin
My mom
and
was a
playing the viola?
symphonic violinist. She was in the
Okay,
Spartanburg Symphony Orchestra. So they say I was in the orchestra before I was born. And which is
sure.
true because she was
Yeah,
expecting in
exactly.
me while she was in the symphony. so
Yep, yep, yep.
so she started me when I was very young, about 3 years old, on violin and piano. I didn't quite stick to the piano as much. Should have, but I didn't. And added viola when I was in high school. So I did
Mhm.
violin and viola, and then continued on through college at Converse College in Spartanburg under a full scholarship. And then again, met Jerry, moved to Orlando, and continued with a business degree at Rollins College here. So they didn't
Wow.
offer music business degrees back in
Right.
those days. I won't
Sure.
say what year. So
You're no, yeah, that's a relatively I took a business of music class at Berkeley, and it was taught by Gary Burton.
really,
Yeah, yeah, and, then he actually went on to become the president of Berkeley for a while, Berkeley College of Music, but,
wow.
yeah, the joke was the business of music was so good for him that he was never there to teach the class, because he was always out on the road, but,
Good for him.
yeah,
My
yeah,
goodness.
Gary's a wonderful, wonderful guy. Anyways, and lives in Florida, I believe. But, so you went to Orlando and you got a business degree and what you were telling me stories of playing with, like, touring groups before Vioelectric and everything. What's that? How did that all come about?
Again, coming to Orlando, I studied with a professor at Rollins College. named Alphonse Carlo, and everybody called him Fonzie. And he was so well known, well loved concertmaster of the Florida Symphony Orchestra before it folded. And then he passed away unexpectedly from a heart attack in 1992, Christmas Eve.
Oh,
And
dear.
it was quite a shock because he was a
Yeah.
friend, he was a mentor, all of the
Right.
above. But
Sure.
prior to that, he had started introducing me around to contractors and people to hire to play.
Mhm.
So in 1995, I got this call to go play on this tour, short part of the tour, North American tour with Page and Plant, which is Led Zeppelin.
Right. Yeah,
So that
I
was like
saw
my
that too.
first real tour.
Wow.
And then from there it just went on where next thing you know I'm touring with Dennis DeYoung, I'm touring with Arnie Roth from Mannheim Steamroller, trying to think of all the people. It led to Sarah
Wow.
Brightman and
Wow.
recording with a lot of them. Like they would do their actual video recordings here. So I wound up being credited on recordings starting in the late
Great.
90s, early 2000s.
Mhm.
And then that
Well,
led to meeting Josh Groban and with his manager, and they asked me to be the contractor of strings for his first world tour in 2004. And so that's how I toured with him, and then that just led to more opportunities, and it blessings upon blessings. So it just leads to
sure.
more recording, more performing, more touring, more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll have you know, I saw the Page and Plant tour. They opened the tour in Boston at the Boston Garden, and then they toured across the whole country and did the whole tour, and then they came back and opened the Fleet Center in Boston. And I saw them every date both times, because I was a huge, huge fan. And, and that yeah, that was '95, holy moly.
That was 95.
But, and it was an unbelievable show. I mean, it was so great the way they took the Middle Eastern stuff and incorporated it, where, he had that weird, hurdy-gurdy player and everything. It was amazing. But, well, that's a good start for you, like the first tour to go out on. Um,
Blessed,
that's a pretty
truly blessed.
yeah, yeah. And then, so we've talked about stuff that you've done playing with other people, but what what was your musical upbringing like? What did you start to listen to? Did you just listen to the radio, or because your mom was a violinist, were you listening to classical music as a kid, or was you listening, ignoring that and just playing it because you had to? You know
It's
what I
like
mean?
everything, you listen to everything. She was also a church organist, and this was in the South, so, I mean, we played a lot of Southern music,
Right.
a lot of gospel music and contemporary Christian music as well as older Christian music, like the
Hmm.
hymns and things, so we did a lot of that, and, I mean, I still use hymns as a study because it's like a
Hmm.
beautiful study of four-part harmony and how voices move.
Sure.
So that was huge in implementing, okay, here's how, when you start studying that, then you realize how to write for that. And then you learn how to
Right.
compose and you learn how to arrange and all the different voicings, not just for singers, but for instruments.
Right.
And that's how it all started. And then my dad was a huge Led Zeppelin fan. I will never forget him bringing home the Physical Graffiti album and first saw Kashmir right away.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's things like that where I had huge influence across the genres, which I loved, and then grew up with all of that playing in variety of genres, which has now enabled me to do what I do now, which is play a
Right.
variety of genres. So
Right, right. Well, I mean, that's one of the first things you learn. I first started working in studios doing jingles and things like that. Is you have the music that you play as a jazz musician, quote unquote. And but if you want to be a quote unquote working musician, you play a lot of stuff. You're not a snob. You don't turn your nose up at any style of music. And if you're lucky to be versatile enough to be, to be adaptable, then you get work all the time, which
I
is a
agree.
good thing. Um, but so I wanted to ask about when you're playing with Violectric, uh, is that have you done all the charts on that, or is that do other people in the band contribute to the stuff, or how
It's
does
a
that all work?
It's a split, mostly between myself and Paul Cuevas. He is our bassist and our principal arranger. A lot of it just came down to time. I said, "Do you have time to arrange?" Because I didn't have as much time, and he goes, "Sure, sure." So we split the duties, and a lot of them are him, and the others are me. As far as original compositions, most of that is me,
Hmm.
and that's what I love. We did had the fortune, I should say, to have again everything ties together. It always never underestimate the power of relationships across your entire lifetime because you never know when
Right.
people are going to come back.
Right. Sure. That's very important.
Extremely important. So someone that I met in 2014 when the new Performing Arts Center here was opening was Robin Cowie. He was like handling the marketing and the PR. That name you may recognize because he also was one of the creators of the Blair Witch Project movie.
Okay.
That's Robin Cowie. Well, I
Uh-huh.
met him through the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts, and then we were also named the first performing artists in residence at the Dr. Phillips Center. Back in 2014, we played twice for the openings, and it was spectacular. But met Robin. And so in about 2015, I think it was, might have been 16, I've lost track of years. I think it was 15. He comes to me and says, "Hey, I've got this other project that I'm working on with SeaWorld Busch Gardens. And they have this annual thing called Howl O Scream." And he had been tasked with creating a whole new theme for Howl O Scream, not just for a house, but for the whole Howl O Scream. So he
Okay.
came to me and said, "I need you to write the music." I said,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I would love this because I love the horror genres." It
Hmm.
was just fun. So
Sure.
I love the science. I love science a lot. So I made sure it was an A440, specifically an A440, because it's not a healing frequency. A432 is a healing frequency. A440 is not. So I made sure it
Okay.
was an A440 and I made it sure it was A minor. And I made sure that all of the low tones and everything that are the disturbing tones were used. I used odd metered times, a lot of things like that. Anything that could totally warp your mind while you're listening to it. And that's what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. So we
Sure.
recorded it as Violectric and we did it not only for the theme parks to use in the theme park, but also all the television commercials, the radio commercials, the all the advertising. They had like a whole series of documentaries leading up to it. And of course, the in house music, everything. And one of the main themes, because the main character that they chose was Scarlet. And so I wrote Scarlet's theme, and they started playing that at Christmas because I guess it sounds a lot like the Edward Scissorhands Ice theme. So I'm
Okay.
actually singing on that in six-part harmony. As
Wow.
well as all the I wrote it and recorded it. And then the rest of my band was also part of that. Um, so they
Well, that's
still
great.
but they still use it to this day at all the SeaWorlds and Busch Gardens around the US for their
Right.
hollow screen. They still use the music. So
Good.
it's a lot of fun getting to
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Well, it's amazing, and it's from a totally commercial musician, working musician standpoint. That's a nice little paycheck,
Yes,
and if they're still
agreed.
using it, so that's really great.
From that, I got asked to actually go to Comic Con and be a guest lecturer and do a panel on how to compose for horror.
Nice.
From there, I met it's like everything is always
Hmm.
connected, so I just kinda given you a thread that leads to
Sure.
today.
Please. Yeah.
From there, I met Daryl McDaniel from Run DMC because he also is a comic book illustrator. He has Daryl Makes Comics, DMC.
Right. Yep.
And I met him and he says, "Hey, you're performing here, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you mind if I perform with you?" I was like, "Yes, of course," because he wasn't scheduled to perform. I was. So we
Right.
had 104,000 people in the audience, and he jumps up on stage with me, and we start doing Walk This Way. And we
Wow.
had the whole audience, "Walk this way,
Yeah. Sure.
talk this way." It was so much fun. We had a great time with that. Well, then he said, "Can you record on this project that I'm working on with Sammy Hagar?" I was like, "Sure." So then fast forward a few years, I get approached by Ruben Salas and about doing this children's rock album called Rock for Children is the name of the group, and the album is Solid Rock Revival, and it's with
Right.
Alice Cooper
Hmm.
and Slash. And they
Wow.
come to me and they say, "Hey, "Do you know any rappers?" I said, "Well, I know one." That's true, I know one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I made the introduction for Daryl from Run DMC, and he's on the album with me too. I'm also on that album. And,
Right,
um, and so he's on the album with me, and all of that leads to where we got a Grammy nomination, in
right.
2024. So we got a Grammy
Yeah,
nomination for Best Children's Music Album, and we did not win, but boy, what a
yeah, well,
project.
it's an honor to be nominated.
Truly.
And people always say that as a snide comment, but it's really is. I mean, out of all the stuff that's coming out, to get to that level is really, really great. And I see it behind you there, one of them, or is that a different one? Because the nominations just keep
That's
coming.
actually for this most recent, nomination album, which was a choral album. It was Emily Drennan, Stephen Fox, and Patty Drennan. Patty Drennan composed this beautiful a cappella classical choral work called Requiem of Light.
Uh-huh.
And they asked me to be one of the vocalists as part of the choir. So I'm part of the choir. And we also recorded part of the choir here in our studio as
Oh,
well.
nice.
So, yeah, so Jerry was engineer on that, and our studio
Yeah, yeah.
was involved.
Wow.
So that one got nominated. Again, did not win this year, but oh my gosh, what a ride.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so when you're recording in your studio, is it like a big room or is it I can sort of see it behind
It's
you,
kind of
but
behind me there. It's actually my living room. I don't mind
oh,
telling you,
is
it's
it
my
really?
living room. We make every, use of every inch of our house, literally.
Right, right,
And
right. Well, no, I mean,
this
yeah, it's the same here. I mean, the front room of my house, I have the piano in, and
exactly.
it works out well. But you need that space in a musician's house. You have to have a space to. But that, I mean, with you, it looks really with the window behind you. With the control room, it's like, oh wow, I thought you'd built out a whole like bespoke studio.
Well, we did actually make it very bespoke from the living room, but,
Yeah, yeah, right. Took out the couch.
I give Jerry full credit for all of that. So there's
Uh-huh,
a full
uh-huh.
drum kit in there, there's a piano
Wow.
on one side, and actually in an isolation room, there's a piano. So we have that
Nice.
in an isolation room, that's one of the bedrooms of the house, if you
Right.
will, and
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then we went
And
through soundproofing and stuff, like, with
sure,
certain
yeah, yeah.
windows and stuff like that, yeah.
And wow. And are you in Orlando proper or where
We're in the
about?
outskirts. We're in, like, the suburbs of Orla we're actually okay, funny. We're actually about 3 miles north of the Magic Kingdom. So we hear the
Okay.
fireworks every night, and we actually
Gee.
have to take I call it mandatory union break for recording
Right.
sessions if it's at night during the fireworks because they do
Right.
shake the house. They're that
Wow.
close.
Holy moly.
So it's kind of fun that we
Well,
just say, "Okay, everybody
yeah,
go
unless
outside
you're
and
trying to
watch the
record.
fireworks."
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of fun unless you're trying to record something. Um, I mean, we have, it's the same problem we have with doing the podcast in my house here. I, you know, I can't do it on a Tuesday afternoon because the leaf blowers are outside, and it's you forget about that stuff. But um, well, so you worked at Disney, right? You worked
I
with
do,
Disney
I
stuff.
still do.
Oh, you still do.
Still
Tell
do.
me, tell us about that. Tell us about the happiest place on earth.
It is. Okay, so for me, it is. I can't speak to every single cast member at the company. I can only speak for myself, and I can say, "Oh my gosh, I love it, love it, love it." I am
Wow.
not full time. I'm what they
Uh
call a
huh.
seasonal on call musician. What that means
Okay.
is I get to say no.
Right. Sure.
I'm not forced to do anything. I get to say no. But I don't like to say no. I like to say
No.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
And
sure.
it's so much fun. I play for their weddings department and for special events and sometimes the televised broadcast, things like that that we get called in especially for recording as well as for visual performances. Um, and it's
When you say
great.
we, are you talking about the group or you personally?
Several of the members of my group are also cast members, so I say we as well.
Okay, so you're sort of like you're a cast member
I am a cast member. Yes.
individually. Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Um, That's great.
And I
And how long
auditioned
have you
for
been
that
doing that?
for 26 years ago now. I think I've been doing that.
Wow.
So I auditioned, and that audition, I blogged about that years ago. Oh my gosh, it was a torture test. But
Really?
yeah, they don't do that anymore. They don't do that kind of audition anymore. So
What'd they do? Tell us about it. We're
well,
fascinated.
the first audition was easy. It was more, okay, you have these pieces prepared or two pieces contrasting styles, whatever it was. So I did that. And then they came back and said, okay, to be a solo musician, you have to memorize a book about an inch thick. And you have to memorize it and you have to come back and be prepared to play that. So I did. And I went back 2 weeks later and they're like, okay, here's your pieces that you have to play. And they would go, okay, boom, 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 boom. This is for the mother, this is for the bride, this is for the whatever, and go. So you had to memorize the order real fast and be able to do that and transition between each one as they're giving you cues, like visual cues to say, okay, we're ready for the bridesmaids, we're ready for the flower girl, whatever. They were giving you just visual cues.
Mhm.
And then the bride. And then they'd be like, hold, because oh, the bride ripped her veil or something. Who knows? It's real. It's real.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
even though it's an audition, they're trying to prepare you for the reality of things, which is so true. And so you have to be able to vamp or do whatever you have to do because everything is memorized, everything, so that you can pay attention to what's going on. And so I did, and they did that, and then you do it, and then you transition between them, and then you're done. And then they do it again, and then they did it again. So they did it three
Wow.
times. They did this, and and then they're like, "Yep, you're a soloist. You're an ensemble leader, and there's only 7 of us in the world that have this
Wow.
status."
Mhm.
So
That's
it's
amazing.
huge honor to have that
Sure,
status. Huge, huge
sure.
honor, and
And
love it.
wow, and it's 26 years ago.
26 years ago.
Wow. That's great. That's great. That's about when it's about when I started with Penn and Teller.
Really?
25 years, yeah.
Well,
But,
congrats.
oh, thanks. Um, but, yeah, and I've been on a totally personal note, yeah, sorry we missed you, in Florida, but we weren't near Orlando. We were in Hollywood, and then we were in St. Petersburg and Fort Myers. Uh,
Well, you do know I travel. I will go wherever.
Yeah, well, we'll probably come back. We'll probably come back. It's very nice to be traveling with them finally. I'm enjoying it. We're in Atlantic City this week coming up, but yeah, and so are you traveling a lot nowadays, or are you pretty much staying around home?
Especially with the change of the business. So we were very heavy into the corporate events market as Violectric. And as you know, corporate events, they have not returned to the level that they once were. They have not.
Right, right.
And because it's changed. The whole situation has changed. We have, they're going to pay for the Coldplays and the Katy Perrys and the stuff for the big entertainment, or they're going to hire a DJ or a solo act. They're not doing like what I would consider a middle tier band, which is kind of where we fell in that
Right,
to
right.
do entertainment because they've discovered they can meet virtually more and save a lot of money rather than meeting in person.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah.
I'm still a big fan of doing things in person as much as possible.
Well, sure. Yeah.
Huge fan.
I mean, we have our friends, Scotty and Katrina, that are corporate, uh, presenters and jugglers, and I mean, they've been lucky, but a lot of their work has shifted over to Europe because there's not as many big meetings in America anymore, and, so they're traveling internationally all the time. But, yeah, it's well, but it's good. I mean, you're obviously doing these recording projects that you have to be in the studio for anyways. So, it would be much more tricky to do them if you were busy out traveling all the time.
Exactly. I'm finding myself stepping more into a producer role as much as I
Uh-huh.
love performing, and I don't ever want to give that up. So please understand that's not what
Sure.
this is about. I
No,
want to
no.
keep doing that. But at the same time, I'm finding that the producer role is a role I do comfortably.
Mhm.
And other people say I do it well. So I'm going to trust them on that. I'm always there's always room for improvement. I'm a big
Well,
fan.
yeah, but if they're hiring you and trusting you to do it, then you're obviously doing something right.
Thank you. So that's what I've been doing is producing a lot of events for people, especially like concerts, album release parties, a lot of
Mhm,
listening parties as
mhm.
people have new projects that are out that they would like people to consider for the Recording Academy, for Grammys, and for other just any awards, any type of accolades, or just have people come listen to their work. I've been producing a lot of the listening parties,
Nice.
especially in Central Florida. I'm the only one producing them because I said,
Right,
we need
right,
this here. And they said,
right.
okay. So that's what we've been doing. We've got more lined up this year. And as that's happened, more of the artists have said, hey, will you produce this for me? Will you do this for me? I said, sure, let's
Right.
work together. And it's been a fun time. I actually
Yeah.
submitted for the World Entertainment Awards for Best Event Producer and I won.
Great. Congratulations. Wow.
Thank you. That was
Geez.
last year. I won for the World Entertainment Award for Best Live Event Producer. That was a
Yeah,
shock.
that's no, that as I say, if you're doing something right, people will let you know. That's wonderful news.
Thank you.
And wow. Now what else did I want to ask you about? Because I do these things and then I get off the thing and I'm like, shoot, I should have said this. What? Oh, the TV show you were producing. I mean, yeah, your show.
Yeah,
That's how we met.
exactly. Well, we met before that, but we
Right.
yes.
No, but I mean, yes, that's when you came over
I did.
and
That
filmed.
was when
That
I came over.
was exciting.
Here's I'll give the quick backstory real quick.
Sure.
I had a show called Noteworthy with Michelle Jones, and you were a guest, which I was so thrilled that you were willing to do that.
Of
And
course.
then the production team changed the schedule that was for the network that I was a part of at that time.
Mhm.
And so thank you for being flexible about that.
Oh,
And if you recall, they were not very friendly
I
to all
do
of my
remember they were
guests.
a little off-putting.
Yes, thank you. And I didn't know what was happening. I didn't understand what was going on. Well, what happened is that they wound up extorting me or trying to extort me after we finished filming in Vegas that time
Uh-huh.
and said, we will charge you for all of your episodes since this seems to be a passion project, but we're not going to do this anymore with you. After we'd already filmed all these episodes. And I
Right.
said, nope, nope, don't think so. Those are my episodes. So technically I own them.
Right.
And they said, oh, no, 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 we have a contract. I'm like, no, we don't. Not the way you saw it. We had
Right.
agreed to how we were going to do the split. We'd agreed before we started filming. What had not happened is we had not signed a formal agreement. So in the absence
Ah,
of a formal agreement, everybody who is involved has an equal share of the copyright and the ownership of that particular product. And especially when it was my face, my image, my guess, my I wrote everything. All they did was edit it, film it, and put it up. So
right.
it was a mutual thing. And
Mhm.
at that time, but the law was definitely on my side that said, no, I own it too. So they decided to stop the show, which I'm like, okay, fine, I'll walk away from this.
Right.
So then I started putting out the episodes on my own YouTube channel, which at that time I had just been linking to theirs. You know, you just link
Okay.
to it. So I don't get credit for any of it on your YouTube channel. You don't get credit if you're linking to somebody else's.
Right.
It's
Okay.
just a playlist, like a thing, like a
Right.
playlist.
Sure.
So I started putting up the edited episodes, pulling out anything that had their copyrighted logos or their name or anything in it, and changed the end credits because I owned half that copyright. Then they
Right.
started filing takedown notices with YouTube.
Mhm.
They took so that strike one. 8 hours later, they did it again. Strike two. 8 hours later, strike three. YouTube disabled my channel. Now they broke the law
Right.
because I
Sure.
did have legal copyright ownership of that.
Right.
They had no right to take them down. But at that time, the DMCA law said, no, no, no. You have to prove you actually own this. If somebody threatens you, then it has to be immediately taken down. That was the law at that time in 2021. The
Right.
law was it would automatically be taken down. And that means like I could have and this is true. So it had already happened with Jonathan Cain and Journey. It had already happened with, a couple of other artists as well, where their videos were going viral, and just somebody said, "Oh, no, 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 they're using my copyright," and it had to be taken down immediately. Well, it would get put back up, but it'd be like 2 weeks later,
Right.
and
Sure.
it lost the
That's bad. Right.
virality. Is that the word? So it lost that. So knowing that, then Jonathan Cain had fought it. His was like the most known case at that time, but it still had not changed the law. Then I fought it. And I had, because I had where they actually broke the law, there was a very clear definition. I had a war chest, literally a war chest of $500,000 of attorney's fees behind me to fund
Wow.
the lawsuit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's
it
great.
did make news,
Right.
and they were sued, and I won.
Nice.
Part of that is that I could not disclose the amount that I won, which I will
Huh?
never tell that, but
Right.
I can always talk about what happened. And I can call
Good.
them by name as long as I'm not disparaging them.
Right.
So I'm going to at least leave the names out for now. But at least you know what happened is that it changed the law
Wow. Y
because of that suit. And I was very involved, and that also led to me becoming more involved with advocacy with the Recording Academy. So for content
Mhm.
creators around the world, this especially in
Right.
the US. Now I
Right.
never did get my YouTube channel back because they's like, "Oh, it's been disabled for more than a year because it took this long for the lawsuit to hit."
Right.
It
Sure.
takes a while with court systems,
Yeah,
especially
yeah.
during COVID
Wow, yeah.
in 22, and
Mhm.
it was still a virtual session. So, all this to explain that I'm very grateful that I was able to
But
get
you're a crime fighter.
100%, 100% of my
Yeah.
copyright back. Change the
Alright.
law for future, content creators,
Mhm.
where
Yeah.
now the burden of proof is on the person claiming to do something. They have to prove, "Yes, I do have a copyright on this," before they'll take it down,
Right. That's
and that's what
amazing.
changed. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's a huge thing, and it helps so many musicians that find themselves in similar situations. And, I knew there was something going on at the time, and I remember you saying that, they did this and they did this, and then I sort of, with COVID and everything, lost track of it. But it's an amazing story that you actually got the law changed, and I think that you should be getting every time that there's one of these fights, you should get a piece of that.
Well, thank you. That would be great, but
No, no, I mean, but you should, but they should know that this is now, this protection is in place because of the work that you guys did. That's a really huge
thanks.
thing. Yeah.
And
Wow.
now I have the full episode. I own 100% copyright on every episode. They had to deliver everything that they had recorded. Everything had to be
Nice.
delivered to me in the original format. So it's in 4K. It's in
Wow.
it's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
massive files. It's
Wow.
massive.
That's
And
great.
so I want to, at some point, I will find it on a hard drive and I will send that to you. I
Oh,
want to give
yeah,
that to you.
yeah, I that's what I need to see, me. Nothing makes me happier than seeing me.
Your body art and your
Yeah,
body
that's true.
modifications.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The regular jazz piano player look. Well, as I said, for someone that can't stand to hear myself talk, I never shut up, and I've got my own goddamn podcast. But it was so much fun, and I'm glad that you've got the stuff. And someday, I mean, the thing is, the things that we talked about, and the things that I'm assuming you talked about with other guests, don't age. You're not going to say, "Oh, that's not important now." That's really good, because the advice that you're giving, and the things that they're not part of the news cycle. You know what I mean? They're not getting old. So you can put that out at any time,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
have
Thank you.
have a nice little,
Well, I
no,
want
but
to give
also,
it
but
to
I mean,
you.
so the box
I
set,
need to do that.
DVD set on DVD, okay, Blu-ray DVDs.
Ooh,
But
physical
anyway,
media. Yes.
yes, exactly. I remember that. Well, so what's on the agenda next? I mean, the big Latin record, but what are you recording now? What's in the next few months? I should
In the
ask.
next few months, we'll have some more singles out with the Robert Kerr
Mhm.
Ensemble. And some of
Okay.
them are based upon a request from someone who said, "Hey, I really would like for you to record this for me." And I mean, we still own it and everything, but they said, "We would just love to hear it." I was like, "Okay, so let's do it." So that's one. Some new
Right.
singles that we got coming out for that. There was another artist named Mist, Mist, and she asked both Rob and myself to record for a new song she wrote called Love Will Show Us Our Way. And
Mhm.
Rob did all the violin solos on top, and then I did the supporting strings underneath, the violin, viola, and those parts. And so I recorded that, and it's now, like a couple million views also.
Wow.
It's been going well, and she's already asked us about the next project, so we're working on that with her. Trying to think what
Excellent.
else.
It's great. Now, I don't know the status, but do you hear anything from Wayne Newton these days?
Yeah. Oh, I'm very much still friends with them.
Oh, I'm sure they're friends, but is he working at all, or is he
Yeah,
sort of?
he just toured in Florida in March, and unfortunately,
Jeez.
I wasn't available. Yeah, it's one of those where whenever I'm available, I will go with him, or I will,
Hmm.
go to Vegas. But what we
Sure.
agreed to a few years ago was I said, I can't always be here. But he says, but I want what you've add to the show. And I said, well,
Right.
let's figure this out. So I worked with Mark Atkinson, his music director, and I wound up
Hmm.
recording all my parts. So he still uses them in his show. So I'm in
Right.
every one of
Right.
his shows now, but I'm just not physically there
Right.
as
Right.
much. But whenever there's a chance, yes, he is absolutely still working, still going strong. He's in TV shows, he's doing all kinds of
You know,
commercials, and
no, no. I mean, I hadn't heard that he was retiring, and I know he was working here, and I don't know if he moved the show somewhere else or if he cut down the amount of days he's doing. But if he's touring more, then that makes sense. I mean, but
he's actually the
but
new
wow.
voice of Mr. New Vegas in the video game series Fallout. Are you a Fallout fan?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I like. I don't play video games, but I certainly love the TV series
Me too.
that they've done. I didn't know that. I didn't know that though. That's. I mean, that's a very cool thing to do. I I was lucky enough to do a little work for Borderlands 3, I think it was. Uh,
Exciting.
and that was yeah, that was it was fun. But the video games they're lucrative, and I'm glad. But and so do you I guess I'm trying to get at you're not traveling that much, so you won't be back out in Vegas anytime too soon.
Funny you should say that. We're already planning a trip in July and then another
Wow.
one for
Oh,
the Latin Grammys. The Latin Grammys is taking
that's
place
right. The Latin.
November 12th, I think it is, in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So I'll be
Yeah.
there for
Yeah.
that.
Oh, good.
So we're
Oh, okay.
already planning to come back.
Yeah, we'll get together. But
Yay.
I don't know. Yeah, Penn and Teller are touring quite a bit more um these days, which is great. Because it's their 50th anniversary. And
Hmm.
we were in Radio City and the Palladium in London for 2 weeks, and as I say, we're sort of stretching it out to more than 50 years. Glenn would like the 50th anniversary to run for 5 years.
I support that.
Sure,
I
sure.
do.
Well, but they're already planning more stuff in the future, which is great. But yeah, so we're gonna go. We'll be in where we're going, Atlantic City, and then Toronto, and but I think we'll probably swing back and do more dates in Florida too. So I'll let you know. But now, what I don't even what are you listening to right now that you really enjoy? It doesn't matter what era it's from.
I always love a lot of things, but I hear there's this album from Mike Jones and Penn Jillette.
Stop it! No, no, don't give me that shit.
It is a
That's
great
that'll
album,
be
though.
no. Yeah, well, thanks, but that's not what I'm. No, I mean, what do you what?
Is.
Thanks,
But
but
no, really, I do enjoy that. I do enjoy jazz. A lot of what I listen to are my friends, to be honest.
mhm.
There's so many friends that have things out. There's oh my gosh, I can't even name them all. I don't want to leave anybody out, but a lot of them are my
Well,
friends, and I'm just happy to hear them. And then I love, like, if you were thinking top 40, I really enjoy Ray,
uh
her
huh.
voice, and Leife is phenomenal. I just love their voices. They're just beautiful musicians.
Yeah, my our friend Katrina is a huge Ray fan.
Really?
It's yeah, it's yeah, she's something, she's spectacular.
Indeed.
But, well, that's a good that's good to know. And, what are you listening to, classical-wise these days when you listen to classical music?
Again, I like listening to the new stuff as well. There's the Neve Trio has new recordings out that are just, again, friends, but I love what they're doing in the classical world. Trying to think of everybody that
Yeah, no,
just
no, there's no pressure.
there's a lot. I
Stuff
like
that
listening to a
breaks your
variety of
fancy,
things,
yeah.
and of course, symphonies, anything symphonic. And with
Mhm.
I follow the news, and I was heartbroken when I read about Michael Tilson Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah, well, when I was in high school, he was the conductor of the Buffalo Philharmonic. That was his
Did not know
first,
that.
not his first gig, but yeah, but he was the music director and conductor of the Phil, and I met him several times because we played, like, youth stuff with him, and he was just a really wonderful, sweet, sweet guy, and, yeah, yeah, I've sort of, uh, I've kept an eye on his career, his whole career, and obviously it was spectacular career, but too young. What
Agreed. There's some other music I really enjoy. I'm like Somber is another one that I'm really enjoying their music.
okay.
And Sleep Token in the metal world.
Sleep
Sleep Token. Yes. In fact, one of our engineers that we work with and producers, his name is Ken Lewis. He has done a lot of the mastering and the mixing and recording of groups like Sleep Token. And he's also got another one, oh my goodness, Coburn. Coburn. Yeah, I'm trying to think of her first name. Coburn. Um, he's recording with her. And I'm just really, I like metal. I think metal is the new classical, to be honest. Yeah,
Well, there you go.
you may think it
Yeah,
crazy,
no.
but I really
No,
enjoy that.
the way the guitars are layered and, the construction that goes on in good metal is really yeah, there's a parallel there. Um, but, uh, Jen wants to interject a question. The producer, Jen, has a question. Yes?
Okay, so my question is so I'm a juggler and I know you play
Go ahead.
you you do the violin a lot and you also have your act where you have the lights on your violin and I was just wondering where do you place the visual aspect of that along with the music because obviously the music is going to be great but you're adding this visual element to it and I'm just wondering what your thought process was for all of that.
Well, I light art is my favorite medium. That's one of the reasons I love Las Vegas is I love neon. I love lights. I love the art that light has. And so I wanted to include that in our show. So we Jerry actually created that for us and added that to our show. He's the one who actually controls all those lights live. He's a
Wow.
basically a live lighting designer while the show is happening. So he knows exactly who to bring up on what colors and how to program the lighting and the patterns. And it's individual pixels controlled through the DMX software. So Jerry actually invented our lighting systems
Mhm.
and what we he installed them on our instruments. They're all DMX programmable and controllable. We are the world's only one that has it all done wirelessly. He will not give away that secret because it's just for us. We've copyrighted it.
Sure.
So
Wow.
he actually controls them and plays the lights. Not only is he an audio engineer, he's a lighting designer for us, and he
Wow.
controls the lights to go with the music. So he knows our charts inside and out, backwards and forwards better than we do. And he's the one that's actually controlling and playing the lights with us.
Wow.
So
That's
it's
yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, well, it's quite a stunning visual.
Do you ever work with visual artists or is it just the light show along with the
I would
music?
love the opportunity to work with visual artists if that's what you're asking. That would be amazing. Yes.
Maybe.
Ah,
We need to
okay.
talk for our holiday show. What are you doing in December?
I
That
don't
would be
know.
fun to have you come down and perform in December. That would be amazing. And you too, Jonesy, let's have you come down. You could be like our featured entertainment while we're seriously, we always
Well,
have a special guest. This would be
yeah,
amazing.
well, we'll see. I don't know what the schedule is. I know I'm free in, in September. Penn's going to London for the whole month, so we have the whole month of September off. Um, but, uh, but yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff.
Okay.
But, But I think I'm just going to ask one more question, which is a horrible, standard, miserable question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Do you have any advice for any musicians that are younger, that are just starting out, that besides the regular strange, listen to everything and take every opportunity, and do you have anything that you've done in your life that you think is a nice little thing to impart to people?
That is an excellent question that I was honestly not expecting. Don't ask me why I was not expecting, but I was not expecting that. Let me think for a moment.
Okay, sure.
Probably the first thing I would say is make sure, like you said, listen to a variety of genres. Don't just focus on
Hmm.
one, but try the different ones. Try working with other musicians who play those different genres because you're going to learn from each other. That's the first thing. I mean, I remember sitting in with you that one time that you and I just kind of just improvised
Yeah.
together. And I learned so much from just watching you. And I still use a lot of that today. So just learning from each other, learn from other musicians, take the
That's a
opportunity to
great.
get together with other musicians to work together and learn.
Yeah, but also that's a really important thing that I don't think gets stressed enough, because jazz musicians work with other jazz musicians. They get together with their friends that are jazz musicians. Rock musicians get together with other rock musicians. And it's a huge thing to suddenly find yourself in the room with Nashville players that are reading charts that you don't even understand what the symbols mean, because you've worked with classical trained musicians your whole life. So that's a really good that's a really wise thing to say. And I think it's a really wise thing to end it on, and to thank you so much for coming out and being on the stereo image, where you know I just want everyone to get a chance to tell what they like and what their story is.
Thank you.
And absolutely. And I'm going to say thanks again to Michelle Jones for being on the stereo image, and have you on again anytime you'd like.